Hey, welcome to this Firebase tutorial. This is Mr. Eric Duffett taking you through a demo app here to learn about how to use Firebase. Um, so this is what our demo app looks like. We're going to fire it up here in a second. So the storyboard's all laid out for you. We just need to add Firebase to this to make it work. If you've never used Firebase before, it is a tool that you can use in order to build out your app with some cloud-based functionality. It does things like allows you to create secure user accounts with email and password or Google or Facebook sign in. It allows you to store and retrieve data from a database without knowing how to create one. It allows you to save and retrieve photos. Tons of really great stuff, and the functionality is all there for you. You just have to basically opt into what parts of Firebase you want to use. So before we jump into coding the app, we're actually going to set up our project in Firebase. So for this, you need a Google account. I'm already logged into my Google account, and I'm at firebase.google.com. I'm going to go over here and go to console. And you can see I've got some projects already there. You probably don't if this is your first time using Firebase. I'm going to click on New Project, and I'm going to give it a name. So let's call this Firebase Demo. And I'm going to use the default settings. I'm going to check that I accept, and I'm going to create the project. Great, new project is ready. Hit continue. And now we need to get started by adding Firebase to my app. So this is an iOS app. I'm going to click on iOS. And over here you can see a preview of the types of things that Firebase can do for us. Some awesome stuff, from logging users in, to storing data, to storing images. Cloud functions are somewhat advanced, but can be super helpful for doing things in the cloud rather than on the device, and then lots of analytics tools. So I'm going to click on iOS to get started. And you can see the first thing that this needs is an iOS bundle ID. You can find your bundle ID in the General tab for your app's primary target. So we're going to go over to our app. We're going to go up here to this blue Firebase Demo, General, Targets, and right here is the bundle ID. Now, I don't know what happens if we all create a Firebase project with the same exact bundle ID. So I think what would be best is if instead of my company, Undaunted Athlete, if you switch that out for your name. Again, I don't know what happens if we all use the same bundle ID. I think it would be better if we all had different ones. So change this bundle ID to something else. I'm fairly certain that that won't break anything. It will actually help fix things. So I'm going to Command C to copy. I'm going to paste this in. This is nickname, but let's just call it Firebase Demo. And I'm going to leave the App Store ID blank. I'm going to click Register App. And now that it has finished, it wants me to download this Google service-info.plist file. So I'm going to click this download button. I'm going to save it to my desktop so I know where to find it. Click Save. Finish downloading. Now you can see it wants me to drag this in right below my other info.plist file. So if I get this up, if I get a Finder window with my desktop, and here's my most recent one, and now I'm going to drag that in right below. Okay. Copy items if needed, add to targets, leave those checked, hit finish. You can see here's my Google service info.plist. And we are off and running. Okay, and I'm going to hit next. And now he says Google Service uses CocoaPods to install and manage dependencies. Open a terminal window, navigate to the location of the Xcode project for your app, and create a pod file. So this is going to require us to use terminal. And if you don't already have CocoaPods installed, then you can't complete this step yet. If you don't have CocoaPods, then you will need to do sudo gem install CocoaPods and hit enter. This process may take 3 to 5 minutes to install CocoaPods, and then you will have the ability to install Firebase on your app. Okay, in order to create a pod file, we have to navigate to the project folder. And if you're new to the terminal, this can be a little bit daunting at first, but we can get it figured out. So my project is stored on my desktop. It's called Firebase Demo. So I'm going to first navigate to the desktop by doing cd desktop. Okay, if your project was in your users file, we could do something like cd users. And you can see now I'm in the users folder rather than the desktop. One trick for finding where your project is to right click or two-finger click, get info, and you can see SSD users Duffett E desktop. So this would give me a directory for how to navigate to the folder where it exists. Okay, so I'm going to navigate back to the desktop, and desktop. Okay, so you can see now that I've navigated to the users directory, I can't go directly into desktop. I actually have to go into my Duffett E, because that's the next folder, and this is, if you look back, this is where I started, was already in my Duffett E, and now I can get into the desktop. And again, I knew that because when I go to my desktop, I right click or two-finger click and I get info, I see users, Duffett E, desktop. And I find it easiest to navigate into those folders one at a time rather than using a long extension. Now that I'm here, I want to get into my project folder, so cd Firebase Demo, and you'll know it worked if it just shows the directory that you tried to navigate into here to the left. And now I'm going to do pod init. Okay, and then I press enter and it appears almost as if nothing happened, but the pod has been initialized. And if I go to my Firebase demo, you can see now it has this pod file here that I can open. And I could double click on that and open it, but I'm actually going to use the terminal in order to open this pod file. So I'm going to do open-a xcode pod file and hit enter. And now the pod file comes open. And I just realized I want to have the project closed in the background because we're going to do some installing and updating to the project. And I just want to make sure that everything happens cleanly without any interference. So I close that project in the background. You can see the notation here is much different than Swift, but we're just going to add in some pods to our project. Okay, so if we go back to here, it says open your pod file and add pod Firebase core. So I'm going to click this copy. You can see it's copied to the clipboard. There we go. I'm going to come back here, pod Firebase core. And I'm going to want more than just the core functionality. So I need to find the other pods that I want. So I'm going to go Firebase iOS. And let's see, it says Firebase, google.com, iOS setup. You can see the requirements, a little getting started video, and I know that the list of pods is at the bottom or towards the bottom of this project. So you can see all of the things that we have access to. So it has machine learning, it has database, performance monitoring, a whole bunch of tools. And we are going to use Firebase auth, which will allow us to log in users. We are going to use, we could use analytics, but we're not going to do that today. We are going to use storage to store profile pictures. So again, I'm just Command C copy and then Command V paste. And then I'm also going to grab the real-time database. Firebase offers two different ways to save data in the database. It offers Firebase Database and Firebase Cloud Firestore. And Firestore is the newer of the two, but my school Wi-Fi has interfered with some rights to this Cloud Firestore database. So I'm going to use the older one, the Firebase Database. They work very similarly. There's some advantages to each one. If you're going to build a real-time chat app, this one will be less expensive for you than the Firestore. But for our purposes, for getting started today, it doesn't really matter which of the two we use. And I think that using this one might be just a little bit easier for us as we get started. So now we are ready to save and install our pod file. So sorry if the video jumped a little bit. I had a freak out moment thinking I wasn't recording. So you may have had a weird little glitch there for a second. So I'm going to hit Command S to save. Got my 4 pods here. I'm going to close this. And you can see here, just as it says, save the file and run pod install. So I'm just going to type pod install, hit enter. And it should take just a few moments here to install. And you can see as it sends the stats and boom, there we go, we're finished. It says please close any current Xcode sessions and use the XC workspace for this project from now on. So if I hit next, it tells me how to add the initialization code and we're almost there. So I'm going to go into my project and you can see I now have this XC workspace, I have a pod file lock, I have my pods, and I'm done using this blue Xcode proj file. And I'm now going to use the XC workspace file. When it opens up, I'm going to have this on the 10R. Here's all of my Swift files that were there. Everything looks essentially the same. I just need to use the XC workspace. Okay, so I need to go to the app delegate and follow these instructions. We are going to import Firebase right below the import UI kit statement. So right here, hit enter, paste in this import Firebase. And then I'm also going to add in this line Firebase app.configure. I'm going to copy that, go here, and this goes right in the did finish launching with options right before return true. Now I've been getting this error lately with no such module Firebase when I first open up my project after installing CocoaPods. So I'm going to hit Command B to build the project. And I have a feeling that hitting Command B, even though it will have this error for a little bit, will make the error go away as it builds in the CocoaPods and just kind of recognizes that things have changed in terms of what libraries are available within this project. So this could take some time, but eventually I feel pretty confident that this no such module Firebase will go away. And alright, it says build succeeded. There we go. So it goes away. Now I can run my project. It's not going to have any functionality yet, but it does say run your app to verify installation. You can skip this step. It might take a few moments for your app to run, for it to communicate with the Firebase servers, and to get a check mark here that says everything is running smoothly. So I don't find this step to be absolutely crucial to make sure that this connects, but for a just peace of mind, it may be nice to have. So you can see our app here for the first time. It's got our sign-in page. We're going to write to a database. We are going to read from a database. And we are going to store pictures. So, like I said, this could take a bit. I can feel pretty confident that everything is working as it's supposed to. So rather than, oh, there we go. So congratulations, successfully added Firebase to your app. Just continue to the console. All right, so here's my project, my Firebase demo. And in our next video, we're going to get started with authentication. See you then.